Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special NewsX and Business World panel on the Indian economy. As always, we are, of course, in conversation with several of the biggest names of India Inc., entrepreneurs and corporates from various sectors. We have, of course, been doing this show through 2020 and we're, of course, continuing it even in the last week of this year, decoding how this very difficult year has been like for several ventures profiled on our show, but just talking, of course, about how resilient the India growth story has also been. How far are we from a complete recovery, and how much has the government and RBI also managed to help India Inc.? What all still remains to be done, particularly in the budget of 2021 as well? Well, joining us today, a power-packed panel, we have Rohit Warrior, founder and CEO, Warrior Safe Shields, joining us live. Vibhas Verma, founder of Aquos, is joining us as well. Abhinav Sinha, co-founder EKO, India Financial Services, is joining us live. Anshul Gupta, co-founder and CEO of Yellow Class, is with us live. Sravant Aluru, founder and CEO of Avatar, is also joining us live. And Dr. Anurag Batra, chairman and editor-in-chief of Business World, is with us on the broadcast as always. Welcome all of you, and thank you so much for being with us on the show. Rohit, let me begin with you first. How's the year really panned out for you, Rohit, for your venture and for your sector? What were some of the dynamic decisions you had to take early on to ensure that your business survives this turbulent year?
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me on board. So this year has been tough, not just for us but the general public and the general business per se. So we are basically into automatic fire suppression system. That is our core business, protecting critical equipments of various businesses across India, not just in India, but we do some exports as well. Now, like every businesses, we've had to go through a lot, considering we are into different verticals like kitchen hoods, which is primarily into the hotels, and the CNC machine sector, where we protect the CNC machines from fire. So there has been considerable. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Keep going. Yeah. So starting March, we were well aware that the situation is not going to be lasting very short. So we took decisions as to working from home. As far as communication is concerned to the clients, we made sure that the clients know what we are up to, and making sure that they're comfortable, and we are there to support them in terms of safety, or in terms of, because safety equipment is such that you cannot have a downtime, and if there is a downtime in the plant, everything goes haywire. So it was very important for us to communicate it to them that we are here, all right, we are locked down, we are working from home, but if required, we have the emergency licenses in terms of catering to our clients.
And what is the pivot you've taken, Rohit, from your core business? You've been able to bring out a product which is more relevant and needed in current times. Give us a sense of this new product for our viewers.
Yeah. So it's a very exciting product. It's a novel invention, and we are proud to be the inventor of that particular product. It's called Zipline. Now, whenever we go out to a hotel, or a restaurant, we all love dining out. But how many times has it happened that you have gone out to a restaurant and you ordered for a drink, you've taken a glass in your hands, and then say, oh no, not again, right? Because basically the rims of the glasses are used by several other people before you. Basically, glasses are used by several other people before you, and we always have a doubt in our minds whether the glass would actually be clean, not clean, right? So most of us, what we do is simply take a tissue paper.
I have a better suggestion. I'm not trying to decrease the market of your product, but drink from the bottle direct. No, I'm kidding. I don't drink, but I'm just kidding. Okay, Rohit, I get what you brought out, and it will be interesting to see the adoption of the product. But at this point, let me go to Vibhas and ask him, Vibhas, how have you done in the last 9 months in your company? And as we head into 2021, what is the kind of prospects you see for your company?
Since we are into the lithium battery business, so it has been good. There has been the ups and downs in the industry, but the government has been supporting the shift to the electric vehicles. So that has been a very big and very important aspect that we were looking forward to from the past 3 to 4 years. So it has happened, and it is the government has made a lot of promotion and a lot of things that it has made clear that electric vehicles are going to come. So it has made some things easier for us, and also a bit challenging because once the government makes it clear, a lot of people started coming into the market during these times also. So we have planned certain things that we are planning to take under in 2021. Basically, we have gone through the planning stage, and now we will be implementing those things so that we can make India independent basically from China in this sector. So that is what we are looking forward to in 21.
The whole EV ecosystem is dependent. It's a battery game, so to say.
Yes.
As
Basically,
our in terms of batteries gets
Yes.
better, I think the adoption of EVs and the mind blocks that consumers have in terms of charging will be taken care of. It's a matter of time with the ingenious nature of our entrepreneurs, the policy support from the government, and the fact that our own ecosystem of EVs will grow. I think the battery ecosystem in India should ramp up very fast in 2021.
Definitely.
Abhinav Sinha, your opening comments on where is your business, how has it done in the last 9 months, and where is it headed as we move into 2021?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Anurag. Echo, we started Echo 13 years back in 2007, and our mission statement is to provide a platform of tools and opportunities for gig economy entrepreneurs to scale their business and avail credit through alternate data underwriting. Now, like I said, gig economy entrepreneur is the center of our mission statement. And with COVID, the gig economy and the gig economy entrepreneurs have been affected very significantly. Now, I'm proud to share that Echo provides additional employment as well as earning opportunities for more than 1 million gig economy entrepreneurs as of 2020. And through our platform, we have a network of around 300,000 retail partners of ours who partner through our platform to provide basic banking services to their walk-in customers. This platform allows them to earn more than apart from their usual business. And both the entrepreneur as well as the migrant or people who use basic banking services over our platform have been significantly affected during COVID. I'm happy to share that providers like Echo are present to make banking and financial services available to the migrant community and the low and moderate income customers in their tough times. What we've seen in COVID is that our network has only grown. Earlier we used to primarily work with retail partners. Today I'm very happy to share that ex-servicemen, school teachers, housewives, all different categories of gig economy entrepreneurs have also got engaged in Echo's platform and have grown our network. And we, over the course of COVID, we've probably serviced more than a crore and a half people for their basic banking services. What has definitely, what I've seen is that the urban transactions, dipped very significantly during the onset of COVID, while, all of us witnessed millions of migrants walk back to their villages and small towns. And subsequently, we also saw our business fairly take up very strongly in the rural part of the country. This was also supported by a lot of relief package work that the government did to provide relief package to the migrants back in rural places and villages, which upped the transaction that we witnessed in our rural areas. Thankfully, with the virus kind of going down a bit, we see the urban business coming back. We see the rural business kind of going off the tip, but plateauing and going through its usual normal, annual growth rates rather than, bigger growth rates that we were witnessing at the beginning of COVID. And one big change, Anurag, that we've seen in our business is that a lot of these gig economy entrepreneurs who earlier, pre-COVID, we had to engage with them in an in-person method, are very happy to engage with us digitally. Today, we source them digitally. Today, we train them digitally. Today, we do everything is digital for them. And this is not only true for urban India, but this is true for absolutely the most rural gig economy entrepreneurs who participate on Echo's platform, right in the, in villages in UP, Bihar, and in the Northeast. So I'm very happy that, while the COVID, has pushed digitization and has helped entrepreneurs come online and do and participate on Echo's platform, I'm sure all of us hope for the COVID to go further down, for the usual, for the economy to jump back, for the urban businesses to kind of jump back to pre-COVID levels. Thereafter, the employment will come back, people will start to earn back again, and people will start to use basic banking services, etc., that we provide on our platform. So the business is not back to pre-COVID,
but digital transformation is not just an urban phenomena. It's a rural phenomena. It's a phenomena that's impacting Bharat and clearly augurs well for a company like yours. Let me go to Anshul and Srawant and ask them for their opening comments on how have their companies done in 2020, and as they move into 2021, what is the roadmap ahead they have for their companies? First Anshul and then Srawant. Anshul Gupta.
Yes. Hi Anurag. Hi everybody else. Well, 2020 has been fantastic for us. To be honest, we are, our company is a child of the COVID. We did not exist pre-COVID, but we all had to be it. There's a set of sectors which have given COVID. EdTech is one of them. We are part of that sector. Hello Class does, it enables mothers who want their kids to different skills. We are talking about young kids 3 to 12 years old. Now, this was a have any access who were not learning online, right? So, if you 6-year-old know Zoom, or if they experience Zoom, the answer would have been most likely been 0. No, they would not have done that. Everybody was an expert because of how schools were pushing online classes. And that's how a lot of other opportunities opened up in India. Ours was one of them, and capitalized on it at the right time. And that is when we saw massive growth happening. This is a window which got opened only because of COVID, and which was probably supposed to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, happened in 2 to 3 months. And that is where a lot of other EdTech players, and including Class, made massive, took massive advantage of this opportunity.
Absolutely. Clearly, EdTech may have got accelerated during COVID, but it's here to stay and become part of our learning ecosystem. Srawant, your reflections on how 2020 has been for you, and as you head in 2021, what is the roadmap you see for your company?
I appreciate the time and the mindshare, Anurag, and advanced Happy New Year to all the viewers. But I'm probably as Avatar, we belong to the bucket of EdTech in the sense that we do augmented reality as a platform, and at the core of it, we bridge the online-offline experience gap, if you can put it in semantically simple words. And then what that does is kind of help brands today in the post-COVID tunnel shift their physical ecosystem into digital, right? So we're seeing a lot of acceleration on digital transformation, both in terms of consumers being at home and therefore the adoption curve going faster than anticipated. Equally, we're seeing brands taking a lot more importance to this. And so the entire ecosystem, I'd say, in the last year has seen rapid acceleration.
Yeah, clearly, omni-channel experience with online thrown in, a lot of categories which to get the real world, old world feel have to use tools that you provide to be able to kind of have the experience they had before COVID. Now tell us, you've already seen, say, retail like jewelry, whether you talk of healthcare, already telemedicine is big As we move into 2021, what are the other sectors that may not use AR, VR in a big way, but 2021 will be a year that will see them using AR, VR in a big way?
Yeah. Anurag, before maybe answering that question, just to set the context, right? AR has probably seen the acceleration even in 2019, in the sense that with the giants like a Google or an Apple pushing the OEM system, the smartphone OEM system about 2-3 years back, we saw a big inflection in circulation of handsets that are in consumer hands and today are compliant, right? So that with the confluence of COVID has probably come together. And therefore the applicability, I'd say, is not just look and fit evaluation like you'd think AR to be, which is drop a furniture in your living room and literally, have an experience that you couldn't have yesterday. But equally, it's about storytelling, it's about mindshare recall, it's about information dissemination. So we're seeing use cases from training to knowledge transfer, literally. And we're seeing significantly high recall when you have immersive storytelling, right? So I'd say across all industries, secularly, we're seeing traction today, from digital commerce to digitally influenced commerce to even brands which are more native digital, if you will.
Okay. Uday, we may want to take a break now and come back later, or if we have time, we could continue the discussion with you leading it.
It's time now to open it up to some larger questions concerning, of course, the economy, the recovery. How far are we away from achieving the high growth levels that were in place before the lockdown? How much has the government been able to help? What were the lockdown lessons? So for those questions and much more, let's go across to Dr. Batra, and then I'll come in, of course, in just a bit as well. Dr. Batra.
Thank you, Uday. We are doing this on 29 December. We started this sometime in April, and clearly we've come a long way since COVID started. I just want to ask each one of you, what have been your top lockdown lessons? What have you learned in the last 9 months, which will hold you in good stead as an entrepreneur? What has got added to your DNA of thinking? What are the mind shift changes that have occurred, which have helped you deal with the new abnormal? Let me start with Rohit first and then go around the house. Rohit, what are your top lockdown lessons?
Well, the primary and the most important thing is we should respect the nature, right? The human beings have been exploring, and we've been literally raping the whole environment and the ecosystem, and this has somehow impacted every one of us, right? Accept it or not, but that is the fact. And nothing is permanent. We can do n number of planning starting from 0 to 100. However, the COVID situation is such that no one ever planned or never imagined such drastic situations has come to us. So we should always have a plan B of action and not just stick with one plan. And agility is important. You have to be agile, and you've got to have the courage to execute what you thought about, or the plan B. So I think agility, respecting the nature, respecting not just the nature but the whole society as such. These have been my biggest lessons, of course, apart from learning some cooking and some new recipes.
Okay, Rohit. Clearly, yes, the planet is very important, and we all are interconnected. What happens in one part of the world
It's freezing just a bit there, but let's get in our next panelist on this. So why don't you come in, Anshul Gupta? Anshul Gupta, why don't you come in on your lockdown lessons of 2020?
Yeah, sure. What 2020 really told me, at a personal level, taught me was just the sheer ability of humans to evolve. I think this was a year of evolution, right? We, each one of us, and I don't mean only kids, I don't mean only professionals, but everyone really evolved. And it's very difficult to imagine people evolving to this level to survive, to thrive. But my very strong belief in the in the evolution, the capability to evolve, the ability to evolve for humans has really gone up, right? So some interesting facts, right? Kids never learned online, they did. We raised our capital online, right? We didn't even meet our partner before we signed our term sheet, right? So how many investors would have actually signed up for that last year, right? So things have evolved. People have learned to live the new way. Not everything is going to change. A few things which we cherished before and continue to cherish will come back, right? We will meet physically. We'll have those pleasures. But there's a massive evolution that has happened, and I think that is something that I take away from 2020.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, let's take that across to Vibhas Verma. Vibhas, it's been a very tough year. What were some of the lockdown lessons you learned, both personally and professionally?
There were many. First of all, one of the major ones was that it is very important to spend time with the family, to know them. And, as entrepreneurs, we spend near about 15 to 16 hours on daily basis in the offices, trying to make a company grow on the paper also, and also having regular touch with the investors. So that adds to a lot of pressure. But we have to realize that family time is one of the things that can give you a morale boost, and also give you a top up basically in terms of energy. So I think all the entrepreneurs out there should at least spend an hour or so with their families and get to know them and what has been going on in their life. And second, you have to go with the flow. You can plan things, you can plan your move ahead, but there are always things that are going to happen, and you will have to execute, and you will have to implement your plan in some other ways that God wants, or that the circumstances make you do. So I think these are the two things that I've learned: go with the flow, spend time with family, and you can be as happy as possible.
Okay, Abhinav Sinha, let's take that to you. Abhinav, your lockdown lessons of 2020.
Sure, thank you. 3 words that I kind of relearned in 2020 was patience, perseverance, and hard work. We've all known this, but 2020 got us to relearn all of these things again. And from an entrepreneur's perspective, what we learned the most in our company is to give away certain principles that we've used to build our company until now. But 2020 presented us with such different challenges that we really had to leave away some of the principles and pillars that we've built our companies, and completely look at different principles and different ways to scale. So I think we learned how to give away, let go of things of how we've built our company, and learn the new skill sets to grow our company all over again, starting 2021. And I personally feel that, while we all aspire to get to pre-COVID levels of business, I think there is no reason to build a business which is again pretty much like pre-COVID. I think we should aspire to go beyond pre-COVID levels, but not aspire to build the same company that was there pre-COVID. So we should aspire to build a different company.
Okay, Shrivant Aluru, last but not the least, your lockdown lessons of 2020, and not just professionally but also personally, Shrivant, because it's been a very difficult year for all of us, and I think a lot of people learned a lot about themselves and about their loved ones personally, but also professionally, about teammates, because that thin line between personal and professional was a bit mixed this year.
Yeah, so true. But I could concur all the views on the professional side. So maybe I'll take a more personal side as you requested. To us, at least at Avatar, what we realized is this adversity kind of bonded us, in the sense that adversity brings 2 things into play, right? One is the necessity, which, as someone wise said, is the mother of invention. So we've been very innovative this year in terms of both personal work-life balance to how we carry about business in the remote world that we exist in today. Equally, I'd say, adversity was very instrumental in bonding the team together, because we started realizing that life is uncertain, and the journey is probably as important as the outcome is. And I do feel that 2020 taught us the importance of being in the present and being journey focused as much as outcome focused, which I think brought the team together, right? So we find ourselves closer to each other, I'd say, than compared to the last year end.
Okay.
Okay. These are very philosophical input. But let me ask you, you've seen the government has been in play for the last 9 months, right from RBI's interventions to the stimulus package, to policy announcements, to long-term reform. What is your judgment of how the government has done? What can it do from here on? And what are your expectations from the union budget, which is 4.5 months away, 4.5 weeks away? I'll start with you first.
And
Shravan.
also, what was something that was good that was announced this year for perhaps your sector or your venture? So, what was something good? If you found anything good, that is, if you didn't, that's all right. And be honest. Our show has been all about honesty this year. And also, what was missing perhaps is something that you would expect in the budget as well, Dr. Batra, as we've been talking about. February first week is when the budget's going to be announced. So all eyes on that. Pre-budget consultations have already begun, in fact, of the finance minister. So yes, who are we beginning with, Dr. Batra?
I said Shravant, but we can start with Shravant and go around the others.
Sure, Mr. Batra. From my perspective, at least, the focus on digital transformation has been pretty solid, I would say. Also, India is probably at the ecosystem of that leapfrog into 5G. And so there are very bright days ahead, I'd say, for the local ecosystem from a digital consumer base, if you will. And so my only hope for the government is to keep the focus on primarily the digital infrastructure, right? We have a population that is quite challenging, and to serve this population and the demand that it will generate would not be an easy task. And so continued focus on that would I think, keep us on the right track. I do believe that we're quite well positioned as a country at this point. Obviously, COVID brings in a lot of GDP challenges, and so I'll leave that to the experts. But at least from where I see it in my seat, I think we're in the right direction, on the right track.
Okay. We have asked Sharma, what has the government done right and what can it do from here on?
The government possibly has been doing, I think the policies that they have been rolling out are pretty right. And, as per the detailed manner in which what I would like to talk about is the manufacturing aspect in which the government has put its focus on. And as per the Prime Minister also, the startups are the new backbone of the country. So I think the focus is on the right point. The policies have been there for the rural part of India also, and for various other sectors that have been growing over the years. And what has happened is that in COVID, these policies have pushed the growth towards the manufacturing sector and made us realize that India is a country in which manufacturing should be more promoted in a more adverse manner, and also should be taken up by the people. So that is what we are looking forward to. And then foreign investments are also going to come in the future due to the things that we are going to become a manufacturing hub in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. So that presents a very big opportunity for the Indian people and entrepreneurs.
Okay. Abhinav Sinha, your assessment of how the government has done and what can it do from here on?
Sure. 2 points. One that because we work very closely with the gig economy entrepreneurs as well as migrants, we noticed how much the relief package done by both the central government as well as state governments help migrants and people in rural as well as in small towns, because our network was being used by recipients of those benefit transfers to get access to cash. So we saw how much it really helped the Indian citizen, the relief package that the government did. Second thing that I'm very happy also that the government did was about free grain distribution. ECHO also participated in the program, and we ourselves distributed 5 kilos of grain to over 1,000 families. And we are very proud that we were able to double down on something that the government was also doing. As far as looking forward is concerned, and because we again look at the gig economy entrepreneurs who are typically very informal in their working, I look ahead to policies which help ease the taxation, especially for small entrepreneurs, so that there should be ease in which they are able to file their taxes, and there should be incentive for them to file their taxes, because we are fighting this thing that at one level we want to digitize them, And at the same time, the tax reforms aren't very easy, for very small entrepreneurs to get their businesses completely registered and file their taxes. So I think a good balance definitely is needed for a lot more informal MSMEs and small businesses to go formal. And I definitely look forward for the policies to kind of, make that happen.
Okay, you're right. We need to balance, how new technologies are kind of taking shape. They're throwing their own regulatory challenges. And there is an expectation. I'm not sure if the expectation has been there in the last 20 budgets that income tax will be done away with. Maybe this is the year when income tax as a tax will be done away with. But yes, the finance minister has said that it will be a budget like never been before, and it will in some way not only revive the economy, it will also create a leap for the economy. So coming to Rohit, what is your assessment of how the government has done and what can it do from here on?
Okay, so I'll start with a good thing. I think the loans that they are providing to the MSMEs for working capital, I think that is something which is quite appreciated. In terms of what we can do or rather the government can do going ahead, I think lockdown should go. They should definitely go because it's totally breaking the flow, not just of the business, of the individual as well. And it is very important that, we have a continuous flow so that, wherever we are, we should at least not contract, at least grow or be stable. Second thing which the government can do is we should encourage spending because as said, the market is down. If we encourage spending, it will definitely help the market grow. And not just the individual, but even the corporates, because I've come across various corporates who are conserving cash for ethical reasons, non-ethical reasons, which I wouldn't like to specify, but we should encourage spending. And one way of doing it, maybe, we could go away with the LTCG tax on equities. So in that way, if there's no capital gains tax, people would be motivated to invest further in the equities, which would indirectly go ahead and, come into the market and help the government as well as the various businesses for spending. Lastly, I think some immediate tax benefit, which impacts an individual at a personal level and immediately, that would certainly help. I think these are the 3-4 points that I would like to emphasize.
Anshul Gupta, your final view on what the government has done right and what are your expectations from the budget?
Yeah, from our perspective, what has been on a policy front, the national education policy, that's the NEP, that has been very encouraging. They are very strong and hard on extracurriculars for kids, something that we, as a country have been weak on traditionally. Mm-hmm. But that is kind of a step in the right direction. It's still seen, we have to see how much implementation you see on the ground basis that. So that is one. The other thing that has really helped us is not essentially a policy, but as the expansion of the telecom network in the tier 3s and the tier. That has been great. A lot of our users are kids and mothers coming from tier 3, tier 4 towns who did not have access to things that we in urban centers would take for granted, and that's really expanding the pie of the market for, within India, and that's I think a very good news. So that is great. No particular expectations from the budget. I think things are looking good within the EdTech space. I think I'll just hope that they continue on the same track.
Okay, I would want a quick comment from each one of you on when the economy will be back in full bloom. Maybe pre-COVID levels, maybe even better than pre-COVID levels. In how much time and why? Qualify your answer. Let me start with Vibhas this time. Vibhas, when will the Indian economy be back in full bloom? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, longer?
I think it can be a little bit over 12 to, it will be between 12 to 15 months. People are saying that it will.
Vibhas? Please qualify your answer.
Because right now there has been a lot of talk that it will take more than 5 years or more than, some people said that it will be a V-shaped curve. But I believe that it's going to be a very fast recovery because India as a country cannot stay down. We have seen it in the past, and we are seeing the recovery that is being happening in the GDP over this quarter also. And over the period, the government is also promoting a lot of things. So I think it will happen in another 15 months, definitely.
Okay. Anshul Gupta, when will the economy be back in full bloom?
3 months.
Oh, you're very optimistic, clearly. Tell us what
Yes.
Clearly, you're in the edutech sector.
See, I would not kind of focus on the edutech only, because edutech is kind of growing and we are not really that linked with the economy per se. And it's still a very small segment growing very, very fast. But if you talk about the economy at a larger level, I think the bigger problem is that of perception, or kind of the wherein there is kind of a general shift in mindset, which is kind of keeping people away from their usual activities and businesses. My sense is in another 3 months is when vaccines will be available commercially, and once that happens, things will open up, right? Especially from the business side of it, people who are kind of driving the businesses are the one who can afford these vaccines in the market. And once the vaccines are in the market, I think that will be the point where people will leave all the pretense of why they should not be doing stuff that they want to do that they were not doing before. And
clearly,
it's 3 months.
a livelihood issue. The moment there is a solution to the lives issue, I think the livelihood issue will get tackled, and that will give impetus to the economy. Abhinav Sinha, when do you think the economy will be back? Vibhas Verma believes 12 to 15 months. Mr. Gupta believes it will be 3 months. What's your prognosis of the economy?
I sincerely hope that Anshul is right. I really hope that Anshul is right. From the business that we do, we are looking at close to about 65% of pre-COVID levels right now. Our business is affected by seasonality. Our business is affected by festivities in the month of November, December. It was affected by Bihar elections. And since with all of these things over, and with the start of the new year, I think it is going to always go in the positive direction. I think January is going to be better than December. February is going to be better than January. And I really don't know the timeline. It's very difficult. How we track our business. It's been very difficult for us to kind of predict as to when we'll be back on pre-COVID levels. But I sincerely believe, I hope that Anshul is right here.
Hope is not a plan, they say, but yes, hope does drive entrepreneurs, does drive action, does drive aspirations for the future. And you're right, as the COVID itself either kind of degrows, or there is a vaccine which is around the corner, which starts getting distributed in a big way, I think the fear around COVID would go away, and that would lead to a normal recovery of the economy. Rohit Warrior, your view on when the economy will be back? Clearly, you see a lot of industrial sectors that you supply to. So from their recovery, you have a sense of what's happening in those sectors, and hence what's happening in the economy.
Well, I think I'll partly agree with Vibhas as to the timeline. It is. I really hope it is what Anshul says, but 12 to 18 months easily. And the reason I agree with Anshul, vaccine holds the key. Obviously, we have a vaccine, but then it needs to get an approval from the government, right? After we get the approval, we need to roll it out to the entire country. And that is a task. I mean, we're not a small country. So getting all those things in place is going to take time. And this is something that you're doing for the first time. You've never experienced something like it before. So 12 to 18 months is a conservative bet that I'm giving. Not just that, IMF predicted 9% growth for India in January 2020. They revised it to around 4% in April when the pandemic was creating havoc in Europe. Right? They again revised it in June to around less than 4%. But the real situation on ground, we have already contracted to around 9%. So it's a scary situation, but it is something that we can easily come out of. So 12 to 18 months is something that I am betting on.
Okay.
Final word, Sravant Aluru, your word on when the economy will be back in full bloom and why?
I'll go with what I'm hearing in the market, and most of the CEOs are actually looking at Spanish flu, for example, and expecting a V recovery. But the V recovery is likely going to be a W recovery given new mutations. And so the general expectation, I'd say, is in the camp of 12 to 18 months. And so at least the plans that I see being formed today are assuming there is going to be a 12 to 18 month tunnel ahead. And accordingly, all the budgets, all allocations are taking shape. So that'll likely have some manifestation, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. And we all learn to be agile. So if the recovery is better than what we all expect, clearly we'll all be there, be able to contribute to that recovery.
But Dr. Batra, we've been doing this show, of course, for quite a few months, and there were those in June and July, those very positive entrepreneurs. There were some pessimists who we call pessimists, but obviously they turned out to be realists. But there were certain optimists who said in June, July, 6 weeks. Some said 3 months. Now that obviously hasn't happened. How do you view 2021 and the recovery?
Next time when we ask that question, we should get them to bet 5 lakhs each and then ask the question.
To put their money where their mouth is. But yeah, on a serious note, how do you see? Yeah.
Very serious note. Nobody was sure of how long it will last. It has lasted that long. So clearly, the elongated nature of the pandemic has slowed down the recovery. But if you look at November and October data, that was very encouraging. December data is not yet out. But as the vaccine gets rolled out, I think the fear factor will go away, and then it could be a faster recovery.
Okay.
But my hunch is 6 to 9 months if you personally ask me.
All right. Well, we are out of time, but it's time to look forward now to 2021. I want to quickly go across the table and ask all our panelists one trend that they believe will stay for 2021 or will come back in 2021. One trend, one thing you're looking forward to. And it's a rapid fire. We are out of time, so we quickly do this. Rohit, one trend, one thing you're looking forward to.
I'm looking at zipline being there in every bag.
Okay. Shravant?
So it's a new hygiene habit.
Right. Shravant?
I'd say digital sophistication even in rural India, right? I'm seeing that in T2, T3 cities already, but I expect that to grow significantly.
Anshul?
Digital adoption and massive reforms.
Okay. Vibhas?
A lot of push towards the manufacturing sector and the work from home environment that has been created.
All right. And finally, Abhinav?
I would echo actually, work from home and digital adoption across tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities and towns in India.
Okay, so it looks like work from home is here to stay according to our panelists, and of course go digital is the mantra, because we have seen through this year that any venture with a digital presence has sustained far more than those which did not have a digital presence or digital component to their company. Well, we're out of time for today's show. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us. Wishing you and your businesses all the very best for 2021. Thanks to Dr. Batra for joining us as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.